Welcome to Driven, the Unscripted Success podcast, with your hosts, Mike Menino and Nariman Hamden, bringing you insights and stories on achieving personal, professional, and financial success.
Hi, everybody. This is Michael Menino, and welcome to Driven, Unscripted Success podcast. Today on the podcast, we're interviewing professionals who share their experience with you, the audience, on how they got to where they're at today. And zooming from the beautiful island of, you're in Naples, right?
I was a week ago. Now I'm back in Ohio. I'll be in Atlanta Thursday, and I'll be in Florida in January. I live a very interesting life.
Okay, then I haven't got any of that. Michelle Notte, how you doing, young lady?
Very good, thank you.
Notte.
Notte.
Notte. Is it Italian?
Yes, it is.
Bravo. I'm Italian too. So do me a favor, Michelle, tell everybody about, we had a great conversation off camera, but tell everybody what you do and how you got to where you're at.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me on first off. So I am one of the founders of the Entrepreneur Lawyers. We are a law firm based out of Florida. We are also licensed to practice as of now, Ohio and also California, but we serve as outside general counsel to serial entrepreneurs. So not just your bootstrap startups, not that we have anything against those, we represent those as well. But, your entrepreneurs who are used to the fast-paced world that is our life, as you know well. And we help with everything from capital raising to startup to franchising, securities, and litigation. So we do it all. We're a one-stop shop for entrepreneurs.
Awesome. So I'm sure you've got some crazy stories in the entrepreneurship.
Do I? Yes, I do. I have stuff you cannot make up. Mm-hmm.
Right. Do you ever think you're starting in the law and you're like, I can't believe I ever would think I'd come across this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've got some Jerry Springer stuff I've encountered in my career.
Some Jerry Springer stuff in entrepreneurship.
Well, this wasn't exactly entrepreneurship. This particular situation that I'm thinking of. A couple of years ago, I got involved in a litigation case where I represented the son of a guy who died, who was the dad, and I cannot make this up. The dad tried to kill the stepmom, literally with a gun, shot at her, missed, got arrested, and this guy was like in his 80s. So, she really must have pissed him off, because to cause someone to lose their patience, I guess at that age, you really don't give a crap. But he tried to kill her, failed. Then she got a restraining order against him. He got the sons involved and was like, I don't want her to take all my money, pull my money out of this account. I won't say, what, but it's like a big, like Charles Schwab type brokerage. Right. He had over $1 million in there, a condo. The sons, had an attorney draft a power of attorney deficiently, a guy that really had no business dabbling in this type of law. And the sons did that. They pulled all the money out of the account. They transferred the name of the condo. Now, I can't say that I would have done what they did with the money next, but we can just pretty much summarize it to the money was gone.
Jerry Springer style?
Dad and stepmom make up, despite the restraint.
No! He shot at her and they made up.
Stepmom and dad then decide to turn around and sue sons for doing what the dad told them to do, to the tune of $1.2 million. So it was a fun case. Those depositions were so interesting. So interesting. Definitely one of my more fun cases that I will never forget. Can't believe I was involved in.
I could only imagine. That sounds one of the most insane things I've ever heard in my life. But like you said, Jerry Springer style.
Yeah. Businesses more, it's like the business divorce drama. We get, we deal with that a lot. So, we're going to go into business on a handshake. We've been friends forever. That's always a terrible idea. Not going into business together because you're friends, but not having a document in place. That's just, it's great for us. We make more money in the long run when we've got to sue, but not great for the businesses.
No, especially when you got a successful one. There seems to be more arguments in successful ones than there are in struggling ones, we'll say.
Yeah, for sure. And those types of lawsuits can bankrupt a startup pretty quickly. So
exactly. Exactly. Well, the one thing I say in our business, we do multifamily, is pick the right partners, and everything else goes easier.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. The more you invest on the front end, the more you save in the back end.
Agreed. So there's a lot of competition in your field. What separates you? We had I think your core values are pretty interesting. What separates you? It makes, stuff that comes easy to you that doesn't come to everybody else.
Let me see if I can point in the right direction. I know they can't see in the podcast what I'm pointing at, so I'll just dictate it for them. But we're the anti-stuffy business law firm. What makes us different is a lot of us came from big law. Certainly myself and my co-founder, we came from big law. And we saw that there was a gap in the market. Serial entrepreneurs aren't looking just for the white glove, law firm with lions at the gate and marble floors driving a Ferrari, because that reflects in their hourly fees. They just want somebody to talk to them like they're not an idiot, very straightforward, explain to me, what do I need to do? Where are the gaps of liability in my company? And how do I get to the next 5 years and my exit? And so we saw a need in the market that we still don't feel has been fully served. So we're trying to scale to meet those needs, because they're between the solo firm and the big white shoe firm, there's a huge gap. And
really?
So while, I'd say there are a few competitors out there, I don't really feel that way, because I still don't think that I've seen a firm that both internally and externally espouse a culture of anti-stuffiness and the core values that we emulate, which is honesty, authenticity, professionalism, and we just added empathy.
Ooh, I like that. Those are great core values. Very good core values.
Thank you. We've thought a lot about them.
Wow, it shows. Great ones aren't easy to come by.
Yeah, and it's hard, because every now and then something comes across my mind and I'm like, man, I wish we could add a sixth, but we're maxed out at 5, so we're done. But and as my therapist would have me say, I think what we're looking at now is like making sure that the core values reflect in everything we do. And that's, from technology and AI, which is all the buzz nowadays, and how you incorporate that into your practice, but doing it with integrity and being authentic, right? So if I get a client and me and that client bump heads and we are just not the right vibe for each other, I'm going to go to my team and I'm going to say, hey, this guy is driving me nuts. I'm either going to fire him or he's going to fire me. You guys want to take a shot at it? And this has happened. And someone in my team will take a shot, and inevitably, in fact, to this day, I don't think we've ever had to let a client go where that situation has happened, which has only been a handful of times. But there's always some other personality type that works with that client, and that's because of authenticity. We don't expect a client to be who they're not, and we're certainly not going to pretend to be someone we're not.
That is the key. The best way I can describe it, I was, back in the day, I had a building company, and then I'd hire somebody, and then I'd try them out. And I said, what do you like doing? And I like doing this. All right, you do that. And I hired somebody else. What do you like doing? I like doing this. And then when there's something that nobody liked doing, everybody did it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You get to do what you want, but once in a while you got to do what you don't like, because everybody else, and with everybody else doing it, the job becomes less. Like it was a carpentry company. We did these starter mansions, anywhere from 4,000 to 12,000, 15, 16,000 square foot houses. And we did 5 Hour Energy, 5 Hour Energy, the energy shop. We did his house.
I had Celsius on the way here. I know it well.
Yes. And what do you like doing? I like hanging doors. I like doing bass. I like doing this. Who likes doing this? And like, nobody. I'm like, all right, everybody gets to do it at the end of the day. Like, okay, cool. And if you work in your strengths, it really does. Everybody has a great time. I had people working for me for 20 years. It worked out great.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that. Our goal is 80% attorney retention rate, and look, we're fairly young. So I don't know how likely we'll be to hit that metric, but it's important to me, because I do think that if people love what they're doing, they're gonna be more likely to stick around, regardless of the salary. In fact, I just read somewhere on, I think it was the Leadership First Instagram page, it said something like, an employee may leave for a salary increase, but they'll come back. But if they leave for the culture, doesn't matter what you offer them, they'll never come back. And I think that's true. And that goes
100% true
to the authenticity, right? Your culture, even if authenticity isn't a core value of any company, if you're authentic, then your people are going to feel that and stay. If you pretend to be something that you're not, if you're a firm that's, revenue driven and and strictly about the KPIs and the numbers and business development, there's nothing wrong with that. But don't BS your people and tell them that you care about them and the culture and all of that stuff if it's about the bottom line. There's nothing wrong with that, but be transparent about it. I think in business and generally that applies. The companies I've represented, I've seen that the ones that are more authentic and true to their calling or their purpose tend to perform better.
And know that their greatest asset is their employees.
Yes. Right.
You know, people might not realize that. You know, I remember one time I had a situation where, a situation happened where my employee was right and the customer was wrong, and I told him. Yes. I'm like, you're asking my guy not to be safe. I'm sorry, I'm not gonna have that. I don't care. This has to get done. I'm like, you're not getting this. I'm gonna protect my employee more than I'm gonna protect anybody else on the planet. So you got two choices: find somebody else to do the job, or let me do it our way. And he finally conceded to doing it his way.
That's
and then
great.
It's not an option. There's no other option.
Well, it's not an option because you made it not an option. I think the problem in my industry, which is the legal services industry, is that too many law firms will back the client for the dollar versus having a firm that, and I'm not saying your attorney is always right or your employee is always right, but you have a duty to your client and to your team to look into it. And 100%, if your employee is in the right, you shouldn't be afraid to stand up and say that. Like one of the things we won't tolerate here is disrespect. Like, I don't care what your issue is. If you're rude to anyone on our team, not going to be a good fit for us. We're going to end representation.
I love how you said it, end representation. I love that. I had this one guy that we hired one time, and I said, we're going to try you out. Attitude's everything. If you got a bad attitude, you're not going to work out. That's cancer to a business. If you have a bad attitude, you put into a great group, it's going to destroy the group. It's going to fester to everybody else. And I said, attitude's everything. Attitude's everything. If you don't have a great attitude, you're not going to last here at all. So I just want to make sure. He goes, oh yeah, I hate the old cranky guys. And he was a little bit older. And I had him go with one of my foremans. And then 2 days later, I said, hey man, how's Bill working out? And he goes, he's not going to be a long-term problem. I just went, what? Okay. I worked with him for 15 minutes. And then at the end, I go, listen, this is not going to work. And he goes, why? I said, remember, you complained about everything we were working on in 15 minutes. In 15 minutes. And this is your trial period.
That's amazing. And I think that's something that a lot of founders struggle with, is knowing when to make that call and realizing, I think once you make that mistake the first time where you don't make that decision quickly and you realize how much money it cost you, you're a little quicker to do what you need to do moving forward for sure. But I agree.
Exactly.
Everything. One rotten apple spoils a bunch.
Well, it's like, I call it cancer, and it's just as detrimental as cancer, because cancer will end up killing the host. The host is your company.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
So I should write a book on how to manage people. And if everybody, we'll talk after, but it's if everybody's having fun and people will work for less. This is one thing I need to say. People work for less if they like what they do.
100%. And if you pay them more, right? So if you pay them more than they're expecting for the culture that you're offering, but perhaps less than, these mills, they're hopefully, I'll let you know in a couple of years, likely to stick around for the long haul. And I think you also have to put your money where your mouth is. If you say you're going to do certain things, or at least work towards certain things, honor those commitments. But yeah, I agree. People need to love what they do. I love what you were talking about interviewing people and putting them in what they like. So we have a partner that when we interviewed with him, we really needed someone in our litigation department. And, our recruiter that helped us find him, told us, he's willing to do the litigation, but he really wants to end up in corporate. He's big into tech and has all these connections.
Yeah, that's not what you're looking for.
Well, but you know what? I gave it a chance because when I interviewed him, I said, listen, you realize we can't guarantee when you're going to get fully out of litigation. We're going to have you here until we find someone to replace you. And then we can move you into corporate. That ended up happening a lot sooner. And to his testament, he stayed true to his word. He handled every litigation situation we threw at him and let us know, and I want to handle the corporate stuff. And he's been fantastic in both. But we honored our promise. As soon as we took him out of litigation, we put him in corporate. Why? He likes it. That's where he wants to be. That's where he's going to shine, and he is.
What do you think he did better at litigation or corporate?
If I'm being truthful, well, who isn't? Well, actually, a lot of people aren't truthful, but I'm always truthful.
I think you being a lawyer would know that.
Yeah, right. I think I'm pretty good at both, because being a litigator is
the guy that you switched.
The guy I gotta choose.
Yeah, well, the guy you switched. Yeah, the guy that switched.
The guy that switched.
Yeah, he was. You put him in litigation.
Yeah, I think he's better at corporate. I think he's better at corporate.
That's my point. You should have waited for if it wasn't a long period of time, it wasn't. But I would have kept him on kept him for when we needed him for corporate, and then put somebody that likes litigation. I would have loved that, a litigating attorney. I would have loved that.
Well, the guy we have now, that's all he's been practicing for 22 years. Loves litigation, lives for it. And we made sure when we interviewed again after this guy that we got to fill the need that we had, not the one that loves it. That was one of the things we asked him, do you love this? Because this is all you're going to do here. And he's like, yeah, that's all I have done and all I want to keep doing. And it's great because now he handles all of that stuff.
And he probably wins more often than that.
Yeah, actually, we're going to go through, because I haven't realized how many, he's got some pretty impressive, I won't name drop yet, because we're going to post him on LinkedIn and stuff. But, well, one I'll just say it. He won a motion for summary judgment issue against Tesla. And that was pretty
really fun. That's no joke.
Yeah.
That's no joke. Bravo.
Yeah. I forget what the specific issue is, but I have the motion for summary judgment and the order, because we're going to do not a press release, but, a little socials post about it and start showcasing his wins. But, things like that, but it's because he loves it. He loves researching. He loves writing. He loves arguing in the courtroom, and he's likable. So I'm excited.
So when I've noticed when you get somebody in the position they love, they're going to end up being great at it because they love doing it. I always wanted to be a litigator. I couldn't handle the schooling, but I love fighting for righteousness.
Yes. And that is why I'm a recovering litigator. I should be done with litigation. But we have this one client who I handled his intake and I secured the client. And, my partner is now, in charge of that case, but I'm second chairing it with him, and we go to trial next year because I want vindication for my client. I want our client who got screwed in this acquisition and it's now impacting his entire life to be redeemed. I want to be a part of that. So that's why I say I'm a recovering litigator, because I try to get out, but I get sucked back in. I'll probably do 1 or 2 cases a year because it keeps me sharp.
It's like Al Pacino. Every time I get out, they keep
dragging me back in. Yeah. I'm still waiting for an opportunity to use leave the gun, take the cannoli, but I haven't had a chance yet.
I can tell you're a little bit Italian. So,
well, actually, I'm Italian by marriage. My wife is Italian. I'm Cuban. So our argument is very fun to watch. Yeah.
Oh, an Italian and Cuban?
I'm Cuban on both sides, and she's half Italian, half Costa Rican.
Ooh, that's got to be
spicy.
That's got to be videotape worthy.
Oh, it is.
You got to put that online, because
it's taken 7 years for us to get to the point that we're at now, where we're not throwing things at each other.
I'll never forget. I married a Ukrainian, even keel kind of Russian, Polish kind of girl. And the reason I married her, and I dated Italians. Wow, that we're not going to work well together. We're going to be very passionate together, but we're not going to work well together after that.
Yeah,
need an even keel person after that. So Michelle, do me a favor. Describe one of your biggest challenges of your career and how you overcame it.
Oh, I don't know that I've overcome it yet. I'll let you know. I think the biggest challenge is seeing the best in people, whether that be a client or an employee or an opportunity or a business. And I read somewhere the other day, it might have been on Mel Robbins' Instagram page, but I read something that said, your problem with seeing the best in everyone is that you see a reflection of yourself. And I really had to sit with that and check myself, because I have had quite a few lessons in my life that I've had to learn the hard way, where I've, believed that someone was capable of something and that I could bring the best out of them. And it doesn't always work out that way. So recovering from situations, it's hard, because as an entrepreneur, and especially as a CEO, you want to trust your intuition always. And those experiences also force you to level up and figure out, do I need to become a better interviewer? Do I need to become better at testing these people? Just things. I think that has been my biggest challenge to date. Just figuring out where the line between my intuition and wanting to see the best in people gets blurred.
Well, I think I'm kind of on the same page. I'm on the same page with you when it comes to the interview, because I want to see the best in people. But the biggest problem with me is I take too long, or I have too much faith in my ability to change people.
Guilty also. Yes.
Right?
Absolutely. Because I think I'm so good at everything, and I know that I can get through to them, and I can help them if we just work on this one thing, because they're great otherwise. And I think, if anything, my dad is he's a recovering, he's in AA and NA, and he's always told me, like, you can't change people. They have to want to change. Like, they have to hit rock bottom, and I've been in therapy for 6 years also, and it's so true. Like, there has to be a self-awareness that's there. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how good you or I are at inspiring them to action. If they don't have a willingness and an awareness inherently, that's never going to happen.
You can't fix people that don't want to be fixed. That I learned relatively early in life. And I was very fortunate to get that lesson early, because if you don't, it doesn't bode well for you.
No, I love getting to where I am in life by banging my head against a brick wall and bleeding, and then going, okay, well, my head is harder now though, so I can break through this wall.
That's an optimistic outlook. That's an optimistic outlook. That is a very optimistic outlook. That is fantastic. At least my head's getting stronger. That's sounds like things are going pretty well for you. Wondering how you entangled or dealt with passive income. You ever learned how to create passive income?
I am learning currently, and not through my own assets. I've actually learned a lot from my wife. She purchased a dual commercial residential property in a very coveted area of downtown Fort Lauderdale without ever having seen it over 14 years ago. And then when she and I first started dating, she bought the adjacent property on a huge risk. I mean, she borrowed from like 3 different friends, paid them back, did a side deal with the seller of the property, who, I won't say what restaurant he owned actually, because it's pretty famous. But now she's got these 2 parcels, and she manages, there's 3 properties on it that she's been Airbnb-ing for over 10 years. She's got this passive income, and I'm here, a recovering divorcee and bankruptcy survivor, and going, now that I'm making some big girl money, saying, okay, I need to replicate this. We need to replicate this, because this is smart. So passive income is something that I'm only now really getting into and learning. And it's really been by virtue of me being able to witness that.
The witness part is the best. We do passive income. We'll talk to you after the podcast, but it is amazing when it's done right. It really is absolutely amazing when it's done right.
I bet. My private equity funds would agree with you also.
We learned how to make every other people do work and us make money, so it's fun.
Mm-hmm.
So speaking of risk, how do you deal with taking risks? And is there a time where you rolled the dice and it really worked out for you?
I'm the living, breathing example of that. When I opened this firm, I was intending to open it with an ex, which I did, and I got rid of intelligently 7 months later. But when I opened this firm, I had zero clients, no book. I had $7,000 collectively in my savings accounts, which quickly went on my first last deposit for rent in a crappy area in downtown Fort Lauderdale. And I even remember April this year, and this is a story I tell frequently, and if I ever get around to writing my books, it'll be in the book related to entrepreneurship and everything I've learned. But I had like very little in my bank account. LA Fitness had run my monthly gym membership. I used to be a personal trainer, so like fitness and working out is like my outlet. And I remember sitting in the parking lot, being in tears, just telling them, please just run my card one more time. I just made a deposit. I just need to go work out. And they did, and I did, and thinking, how the F am I going to make rent that's due in 2 weeks? I have like 3 clients. Well, that was April of 2017. And here we are, a staff of 10 later, 5 attorneys in. I was the biggest risk I ever took.
And it paid off.
And it paid off. Well, we'll see, right? The entrepreneurship experience goes like this. We're in another big learning year. But no, it has paid off. You know, we're constantly taking risks. I mean, we're an entrepreneur firm. If we don't take risks, then I don't know why the hell we're doing this.
Then you can't coach people through risk.
Exactly. We have lived everything our clients have lived.
That's awesome. Well, listen, wrapping up the interview, been absolutely exciting and fantastic. What are your plans? What do you got new and exciting for the next 6 to 12 months?
All right. Well, going to Michigan next week. Never been to Detroit. Excited about that. Going to Entrepreneurs Dinner I was invited to. That's invite only, very curated event. So that'll be fun with women founders. Hoping to make it up to Canada, dual purpose, to see a client and to explore Ontario, because I've never been there. We're going to bring our fathers and our 2 daughters. And I'm going to Tampa at the end of this month, Orlando in October, and then I'm just going to enjoy my beautiful orange trees around my pond in my house in Ohio.
Nice.
I've never had a fall. This is my first fall, so I'm really excited.
I'm glad you're excited, but I lived in Michigan for 57 years, and I've seen winter, fall, and summer, and trust me, summer's the best.
I'm super excited. Like driving here, I was like, orange tree!
Yes. You're going to see a lot of that. You're going to enjoy it. It's going to be a lot of fun for you, but for me, it was like, impending doom. But you're not going to be there for the winter, so you'll be fine.
We'll stay till 2 years, and then we're gone. We're back to Florida. Gotcha.
Thanks a lot for being on the podcast. I really appreciate it. How would people get in touch if they want to talk to you about entrepreneurial law?
Well, they can go to our website, www.theentrepreneurlawyers.com. Please Google entrepreneur. Everyone spells it wrong, even lawyers. Or you can email me, M for Michelle, Notte, Notte, @tels.legal.
Perfect. Thank you very much for being on the show. And if anybody would like to talk to her, please hit her up. She's been one of the, I would say, sharpest attorneys I've dealt with in my entire life. And I haven't done, I've done a lot of work with attorneys, but not in litigation. So it's awesome. Michelle, thank you very much for being on the podcast. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Been a lot of fun.
Thank you. For everybody else, please like and subscribe. And if you have any comments on the show, let us know. We'd love to answer them for you. Thanks and have a great day.
Thanks for listening to Driven, the Unscripted Success podcast. Want to share your story? Apply to be a guest at drivensuccesspodcast.com/guest.